This is Orange Nation Overtime with Steve Infanti and Paulie Sibilia.
Welcome into Orange Nation Overtime alongside Paulie Sibilia. I'm Steve Infanti. We've made it to Thursday, and if you listen to our show on a regular basis, you know that Thursdays we have Adrian Autry on at 1 o'clock. We have the voice of the Orange, Matt Park, on at 1:30. We spoke with both of them today, and as expected, Paulie, SU basketball talk continues to dominate the show at this point.
Yeah, it's people aren't happy, and I get it. And we just, you just got to let the season play out now. I think that if he's going to get fired, it will be because they didn't make the tournament, and that's just the bottom line.
So we had Adrian Autry on, and as always, we started him off with a question about the previous game, which was North Carolina on Monday. So we're going to play that interview back for you right now, beginning with Red's overall assessment of the loss Monday to the Tar Heels.
Our dips really dug holes for us. We dug a big hole at the beginning of the second half. I thought at the end of the first half, where we had it where we needed to be in the game plan of keeping a score where we thought we wanted to be at, and then turnover here, turnover there. They capitalized on it, and then the second half, I thought we had a long stretch of just not being able to kind of flow, get stops like we needed to, and then we finished up that last 15 or 13 minutes. So getting stops and kind of getting out and getting some easy buckets, and at one point again we got it down to 6, but the fight was definitely there, but it was just such a big hole to come back from, and we have to do a better job of eliminating those types of runs, especially on the road. It's always hard to run on the road.
Coach, you guys moved the ball great against Notre Dame, and then it felt like the ball didn't move against North Carolina. Of course, it's probably harder to move the ball against better teams, but what did you see on your offense is why the ball was not moving against North Carolina?
Well, I give credit to North Carolina. They did a good job. They set the tone. I said it at the end of the game. That was we hadn't had anyone really get up and press up in our face like that in a while. So I didn't think we did a good job of getting open and being physical offensively, walking our guys in and creating those passing lanes and being strong with the ball. I thought Carolina really pushed us out, and we knew that they would be aggressive, but we just didn't execute, and move and cut and get open the way we needed to. And also when we got the ball to the middle, I just thought our decisions weren't made quick enough.
Down 32 in that game. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. And also, I thought Carolina did a really good job of making us play 2-on-2. And what I mean by that is, obviously, we rely a lot on some ball screens and stuff like that. And I thought they did a good job. They didn't come off their guys. So a lot of that had to do with their game plan as well, Paulie. Like, they did a good job of making us play 2-on-2.
So, you talk about the game plan. They did a good job, down 32. I don't think any of us saw a comeback coming. You did cut it to 6. What allowed for that, I guess? What adjustment was made, either by you or by them? And could that switch have been flipped a little bit sooner?
That's always the question when you get down by that much. Human nature is, Carolina probably, thought the game was over with, and we kept battling, and that fight was there, and we want to fight to the end, and I thought they did that. If it was anything, I thought the zone was really good. I thought we got better at it as we went along, and what I mean by that is we started finally rebounding out of the zone, and we made some plays out of the zone that you have to make when you play like a little high-low block shot. The guards coming down and rebounding from the opposite side, and then that allowed us to get out in transition. So I thought as that half went on, our zone actually got a little bit better as far as rebounding out of it, and that was the first time we rebounded out of the zone with a positive rebounding margin every time we went to the zone. Our initial defense, we've made people miss in the zone. I believe it's like at 30-some%, but we haven't done a good job of rebounding out of the zone. So I thought that was the difference that allowed us to get back. And obviously, Carolina with a big lead, they probably thought that the game was over with.
Do you think we'll see more of the zone moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a game-by-game game plan. We're going to do whatever it is that we need to do that puts us in position to win the game. So to answer your question, you could see zone. You could see a zone or whatever it is, but we just got to look at all options that gives us the best chance to try to win.
Coach, we saw John Wildhack behind the bench at the game on Monday night. How often do you two meet and talk during the season? And have you talked about big picture things lately and the direction things are going, or is it more game-to-game stuff?
No, it's not game-to-game. I mean, we talk, but again, John, we talk, and we've talked big picture, and again, mentioned big picture. I don't think it's any secrets that we all want this to finish this race better, and that's all you could do. And then again, conversations like that's about it. As far as I have to finish this season up, we have to finish this season up, and that's all I'm really focused on.
The other day against Notre Dame, you made a switch in the starting lineup, and it was a little head-scratching to the average fan that Donnie Freeman sat, and you started... Why am I drawing a blank?
Sadiq
White. Yeah, Sadiq White. So is that something we could see again? And does he bring a spark to the energy of your starting lineup when he's in?
No, I think sometimes, again, when I think I made it 2 games ago, like this now has to be, communicated. Matchups sometimes fit better. And obviously, Donnie is very talented, so we need Donnie. Against Carolina, you got to be able to score the basketball, and so you got to put guys out there that can, do both. But again, I think, could things change? Yeah. I mean, again, at this point, we're not where we want to be, and we got some games left, and we want to finish up strong. So whatever I see, or my staff, we meet and we see we can adjust and make some adjustments. I think that's what you'll see.
You mentioned you got a lot of games left. What is your message to the players right now with so many games left before the ACC tournament, with, it's 4 or 5 weeks now before you go to Charlotte? You talk about, you and the coaching staff trying to finish this season strong and finish it the right way. How about with the players? What is your message to them right now at practice as you get ready for another really tough game on Saturday?
Well, I think, what we came here to do, we knew that wasn't going to be easy, and we're in it. So this is the challenging part. I think all athletes, all people want, is to be in a challenge. And again, we have 8 games left, and you give them every scenario, and you really go game by game. Like it's a lot of season left. I think the hardest thing for them to for most people, to focus on is that, a lot can happen in a month. A lot can happen in 8 games, and you have to think that way, and you got to be positive. Like we talk about positive thoughts, create positive actions, which will create positive results, and you have to be that way. I mean, again, this sport has grown, so obviously it's a lot of following, it's a lot of, speculations, and it's a lot of this and this and that, and we can't let that get into our minds. Because it's so much season left. And again, we're fortunate this year that the ACC is very healthy and strong, and that's what you have to concentrate on, game by game, because all it takes is, one game to turn it around, and now you keep going and you keep building off of that, and, so you got to have that mindset.
It's not an easy road, though, with 10 games left, a lot of quad 1 games, so that are opportunities for you, and it starts Saturday with Virginia on the road. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Hey, solid team. I think one of the better put together teams. They just fit. They got passing big guys, shooting big guys, guards that are versatile. So a very versatile team. Bigs that can step out and shoot threes, bigs that can post up, bigs that can pass. They guard players, very solid guys that all shoot 35, 40% from 3-point range. So again, people talk about their offense, but their defense is really that really sticks out. Shot blockers, very physical defensively. They pick up full court, but it's a well put together team. A team that's playing probably as good as anyone in our conference. And so again, it'll be a challenge, but when you're in the ACC, it's nothing easy. Like that is nothing easy. You can change the names. Those are still going to be hard games. You can flip names and put any other name on there. And if you follow our league, a lot of things that happen. People are, losing at home, and teams are winning on the road, and it's no gimmies here. So again, it's the next game on our schedule, and we got to prepare for it.
And along those lines, Coach, how have the guys looked, to you at practice? I know you just got back from North Carolina, late Monday night, but how have they responded to that? And do you feel like this team is still together at this point?
Well, I'll tell you what, the biggest statement about this team and that character is, we were down 32. So say what we were down 32, and I thought they fought back. Again, it showed a lot about their character, and I talked to them about that because they could have easily just folded. And to cut it to 6 points with a minute 20 to go. And if we'd have made 2 free throws, if Ski would have made his 2 free throws and Nate King's cashes in those 2 free throws, when we cut it to 6, that would have been a 2-point game. I mean, a 3-point game, excuse me, right? That'd have been a 1-possession game with a minute 20. So there's no quitting this team. There's no quitting our staff. We're going to keep rolling up our sleeves and working hard. So to answer that question, that's absolutely no. These guys are competitive. They believe in themselves. The coaching staff, we're still here fighting, and that's what we're going to do.
That's Adrian Autry, and, as he said right there, Paulie, he says this team is still together, playing hard, and all they can do is, keep the nose to the grindstone and keep working hard and try to turn this thing around. The next opportunity to do that is Saturday at Virginia. Really, another really tough game on the schedule.
Yeah, and when your offense is struggling, that's the team you don't want on your schedule to try and get it right against.
Yeah, and you do wonder, did they find something potentially in the second half, in that comeback?
We'll find out.
Yeah, we will find out. Will we see a lineup change? I think everything's on the table right now in terms of, what changes could we see moving forward. Red said after the NC State game, anything's on the table, and then Donnie didn't start the next game. I do think they are going to try some different things over the course of the next month or so because, again, from the outside looking in, all that really matters at the moment is the ACC tournament. That seems like that would be their one ticket at large bid. Seems like it's off the table. Even if they were to somehow run the table, it's not a guarantee.
You also want to kind of try to make it so that maybe not you might need a few wins in the tournament, but not
right. So at least try to play your way back into the conversation. They've got to get hot, though, and they've got to beat really good teams that are better than them. Virginia's better than them. Louisville's better than them. Duke's better than them, on down the list. With that in mind, we had the voice of the Orange, Matt Park, on with us at 1:30, and we touched on that very topic, but we started him off by getting his thoughts on the loss to UNC.
Syracuse is not good enough to beat Carolina. They're just better.
So you think that... Yeah, so this month of February, they're going to be playing a lot of teams that are better than them.
Yes.
No shot in several of these games?
I wouldn't say no shot. That's why you play the games. But Carolina, Duke, Louisville, Virginia are all... Actually, I haven't seen Louisville in person, but Carolina, Duke, and Virginia are all better teams. We take no pleasure in saying that. But, and I think you can... Obviously, you guys spend all week getting into this. You certainly shouldn't. No team should be 32 points better, right? They're 32 points better for a stretch of time, and that's difficult for everyone to see and to swallow. To me, the most concerning thing is, again, just kind of this urgency. How does it get to that point? If you're capable with hanging with a team, or obviously they're capable with beating them 25-10 or 35, whatever it was, to close the game. Where's any semblance of that before the desperation? I think that's the frustrating aspect taken out of the Carolina game. I'm not surprised in the least they lost to Carolina. They could play today, tomorrow, and the next day, and they'll be big underdogs against Carolina. Same to Duke and same to Virginia right now.
What's it like being around this team right now? Do you get the sense that all of this is weighing? I would imagine, right? They're human beings. What's it like with everything? The big picture stuff that seems to be weighing on the program.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, and I try to pay more attention to that each time. I just think it's silly. I'm not blaming any of this on the weather or whatever. I just think this winter has stunk out loud, in every way you look at it. It's been unfortunate the team hasn't played well enough and hasn't been good enough. The snow and the temperature are just worse than they've been here in recent years, and everyone's kind of down about it. And then I think we look to that's why the team, there's a lot of pressure on them. We look to them to be the highlight, right? And to get us through the winter. We've talked about that for decades. And there is pressure on these guys. There's no question about it. people always ask me, knowing that I travel with the team, they always say, hey, how was that flight? You typically it's after a loss. How was that flight? Oh, that must have really been terrible. That bus ride must have. They're all the same. I think that would kind of surprise people. If a team wins, like we're in the locker room after a football win, virtually any win in college football, in my observation, is celebrated like you're going to the Super Bowl. It's a huge deal. Every loss is the extreme opposite of that. And in basketball, I'm not in the locker room immediately after the game because of the format of how we operate, but I am on the bus, I am on the plane, and I don't think most of the time you can tell whether they won or lost. It's pretty much the same all the time. People are quiet, people are tired, they move on to the next thing, and it's a professional kind of environment. They're not doing cartwheels after a win, and they're not completely down to the dumps after a loss. People are quiet. You put your music on, you flip on a book, or where you stare at your phone, and that's what virtually everybody does. Kind of being in that team environment, everybody gets along. I don't think there's any real rift or any of that kind of stuff that people probably want to hear about. But yeah, I absolutely feel like it's a tense kind of group, and why wouldn't it be?
Matt, what do you make of the Carmelo shake my head comment?
OMG.
From your perspective, yeah.
OMG. GTFO. Ridiculous. I can't believe that everyone reacted to that like it's some big deal. We've got semi-legit, we have news organizations, ESPN. Oh, Melo must be who's interpreting 4 letters? Let's hear him out. If he wants to say something, let's find out if he has something to say and wants to say it publicly. Somebody just tweeting something like that, to me, it's hard to, everyone's so sure they know exactly what he meant by it. It's a screen grab of, unless I'm missing something, it's a screen grab of the game 29-20. What is he saying? Tell me what that means. I understand what the abbreviation means, but
I also think, weren't we all doing that during that game?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't. What is so newsworthy about it that the celebrity worship or whatever is at play there with taking anything that Melo says or does and running with it like it's some sort of legitimate conversation or input. Obviously, if he has something to say, it's going to be taken with some weight given his credentials and his position around this team, but actually say words. Let's hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. I heard somebody say on a different news outlet that Carmelo was being critical of the coaching staff. By
the way,
he might have been, but he didn't say that. Right?
Absolutely, he has the right to feel that way and even articulate it if he wants it. But 4 letters, and that's not articulating it.
Right. 100% agree. It's our first chance to talk to you since the Donnie movement out of the starting lineup for one game and then back in the starting lineup against North Carolina. We heard what Red's reasoning was for it. What do you make of that? Do you think we will see that again?
Possibly. I don't think it really. We all want to say, "Oh, it worked," and it kind of did. But it didn't work so well that they felt like sticking with it, because what they do is they're looking at the analytics and the numbers relative to each lineup and matchup, and they were looking for something to do different, right? Because obviously we'd kill them if they never did anything different, right? If you did the same lineup every game and kept losing, you'd get crushed for that. So I think everybody can understand that Sadiq brings energy, right, wrong, or indifferent. He's a lot. And Donnie is more of a smooth, let it come to you, takes a little while to get heated up guy, even if we all again can agree he's the best player on the team. Their minutes allocation was a little closer than I thought it would be against Notre Dame, and they win the game in comfortable fashion. I think going into Notre Dame, you can tinker and get away with it in a way that you can't against North Carolina. They couldn't afford to be down 9-0 against Carolina like they were against Miami and some other games, and so you see Donnie in there. So I was a little surprised they didn't stick with it, going from Notre Dame to the UNC game. I think you may see it again, if for no other reason than I think you could see a lot of different things again here, or for the first time, because I think they know you got to do something here to get them out of this funk, because what's going on isn't working.
You mentioned Donnie Freeman. He will be out at the Wildcat tonight doing a meet and greet, correct?
That's my understanding. Yeah, I think all the February dates, I'm told Donnie will come out for pictures and autographs, so that's cool.
Matt, another thing that's come up recently is, and I don't know if you follow me on Twitter. Well, God, why would you?
I don't, Paulie.
But I kind of brought up the fact that, if this job comes open, Syracuse is going to need to interview the next coach and mention the fact the coach is going to ask questions too of what's my NIL going to be, what's my pay going to be, and then he's probably going to get calls from schools that aren't exactly basketball powerhouses that might be able to do better than Syracuse, right? Is that an outlandish take?
No, I mean, I think in the modern era of college sports, first, second, and third on the concerns are what is the budget? And it's not necessarily for the coach's personal budget, although that's part of it. What type of assistants can I hire? And it's going to be, what is your salary pool? That's absolutely at the top of the list for everybody, whether we like it or not. And there's going to be value in coaches that can do more with less and all that. I don't think you can dispute it at all that your budget is obviously a factor. There's that spiel going around about that Jeff Goodman's doing with the coaching jobs, ranking them from one conference to the next. I don't think a lot of places are getting bumped up because the office is nice or the weight room is slick or a lot of that. I mean, that might be some tiebreakers here and there and a little fudging it up, but the primary influence on that list, the thing that would run most parallel to is budget.
The next question I have about that is that poll came out and Syracuse finished 6th in the ACC. Do you think that they would finish 6th in the SEC?
I'd have to look more closely at the SEC. Again, I mean, can I list 6 schools that have more resources in that department than Syracuse? Sure, I can. So it'd be somewhere in that neighborhood, upper middle of the pack. Or bottom of the top tier, however you want to sort of phrase that. I think it'd be somewhere in that neighborhood. That one of the things I think is frustrating for everyone regarding NIL is there's no transparency. Everybody's so certain they know what Syracuse's payroll is and who makes what on the roster. I don't know how you would know that. It's not publicized. It's certainly not shared by the school or anybody that we come in contact with. Whereas in pro sports, it is, and you kind of know this guy or that gal is making X, and you can react accordingly. The fact that it's, in college sports, no two schools have the exact same budget structure or the same reporting rules and all that. Syracuse is a private school, tends to share very little. State schools are required to share, or there's Freedom of Information Acts and that type of thing where they get compelled to share the information, but you can't compare every state school to the exact same on a oranges to oranges comparison. So I think we're all just kind of guesstimating.
I don't know if you heard our show yesterday. We had Brandon Trish on, and as he was getting off, he said that he would like everybody to show Red some grace during this process and during this difficult season, and however this season ends. I don't know if you had a chance to listen, but if so, any thoughts on what he had to say?
Yeah, I think most of the show yesterday. I mean, first of all, you'd like to think that goes without saying. I think in this world of sports talk, we all feel like we can fire away and be snarky, and everybody wants to be the funniest or the first to say this or that about Paulie or about the coaches and whatever. I would like to think that just in general as a society, we have some sort of grace. As it relates to Coach Autry, give the guy a little bit of slack here. It'll be determined at the end of the year whether he gets to retain his job or not. And, there's a certain trend kind of going here, and you can guess how that's going to turn out. Aside from that, he's not a boob. He's not an imbecile. He didn't just trip into the job here. He loves this place. He wants to be here. His family is here. He's got a daughter on the lacrosse team. His kids grew up here, went to school here, come back here. He's of the program. You think he wanted for it to go this way? He wants it to be better. So I think the cheap shots and that kind of stuff are unfair and really stink to hear, and they're not welcoming to the next coach or however that works out whenever there is a next coach. So a little more empathy, I think, would be great, but I know that that's going to fall on deaf ears to a lot of people.
Do you know, Matt, while we're talking about this, what about the disdain for the past of Syracuse basketball that seems to be appearing too? Like, we got to cut ties to our, everybody pines for the greatness, but now it's like, get rid of it.
Yeah, I think something's lost there. And again, I read the chat and skim through the comments and stuff. And what I think is disheartening, it's just unfortunate. It's a state of affairs. It's nobody's fault, really. There isn't alignment, for every person that thinks that an alum is absolutely the way to go and that's the best next coach. There's somebody who is adamant that there's absolutely no way you should do that. What I don't really get, I do understand the perception that Coach Autry was always going to get this job after Coach Boeheim and what have you. That's what's happened. If you believe that and that's what's happened, that's what it is. Like, there's no sense in killing him because he took the job. What would you have turned it? Oh, I'm not really ready for this, or turned it down. Nobody's doing that. What I think is probably under-publicized is Adrian Autry, again, for better or for worse, and the results are going to be what they are, runs a different offense, a different defense, travels differently, practices differently, has an almost completely different staff. What do you think is, I want to hear somebody tell me, what do you think is Boeheim's actual influence here? You think Red's got to check with him, or Red isn't good enough because of his tie to Boeheim? Or I need that more spelled out to me. Maybe I'm stupid.
You're not.
If and when there comes a time for a new coach, I don't think an absolute in either direction is the right way to go. You don't absolutely only talk to in-house candidates. You don't absolutely block them out. You talk to a variety and find the person that's the best fit. You need someone here that's going to do more with less. The whole thing about in the family, whatever, that is valued a lot in many other places, right? It's at least having respect for those people that came before you. This week's opponent is Virginia. They sell the idea of how romantic it is that Ryan Odom, grew up coming to the building because his dad was an assistant coach there before going on to his own head coaching career. And he, has known everybody since he was 10 years old. There is value in that to the point where people are seeking it out. Does that mean that's the only way you can go? No, but there's something where it does matter. If you look across the athletics department here, it has, it is coming into play with a Gary Gates and Reggie Terry and the different people that are involved in what's going on. So, that's obviously we can talk on and on about it, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
That was the voice of the Orange, Matt Park, and my partner here, Paulie, is hitting the road tomorrow morning, heading down to Charlottesville for another really tough game. Syracuse traditionally has not played well in Charlottesville. It's a nice arena. It's a shooter's gym, soft rims there, but Syracuse has traditionally not played well there and have not played well against this team. They've lost, prior to last year, they had lost the last handful.
Yeah, I always wanted this to be pushed as the rivalry for Syracuse and the ACC just because of basketball. They've played some big games and had some great games. You go to the comeback in the tournament. Yeah. Syracuse getting beat at the buzzer in the ACC tournament a few years back. I think they should push that. Happy birthday, one Bobby Brown. I blew it with the artist of the day today, Steve. We went Paul Simon for some reason. I did not notice it was Bobby Brown's birthday today.
Could have been Bobby Brown.
Yep.
How old is he?
He was born in 1969, so he's 56.
Well, 57 today.
Yeah. So.
26, so 57. All right. There you go. we are out of time. Thank you for listening. Thanks for watching. For Paulie, I'm Steve. We'll talk to you again tomorrow, everybody.
Download the WSYR Plus app on your TV to stream News Channel 9 for free. Just go to your smart TV, search WSYR Plus in the App Store, and download to start streaming today.